In the heart of Brooklyn, New York, on a crisp day in September 1898, a boy was born who would one day change the sound of America forever. His name was George Gershwin. He wasn't born into fame. In fact, the Gershwins were a modest Jewish immigrant family. George was just another curious kid. Until one day, everything changed. He heard music pouring from a neighbor's piano, and it gripped his soul. At just 10 years old, George found his calling. By the age of 15, he was working as a song plugger on Tin Pan Alley, playing and promoting new sheet music to make ends meet. But deep inside, he dreamed bigger, and soon the dream took flight. At just 26, George composed a piece that would echo across generations. Rhapsody in Blue, a blend of classical music and jazz. It was bold, fresh, and uniquely American. The audience was stunned. That night, a star was born, and America had found its musical voice. Gershwin didn't stop there. He gave us an American in Paris, a vivid soundscape of a foreign land seen through the eyes of a hopeful dreamer. And then came Porgy and Bess, a daring opera telling the story of Black life in the American South. It was controversial, raw, and honest. Decades later, it's hailed as a masterpiece. But while his music soared, his life was quietly slipping away. In early 1937, George began experiencing dizzy spells and strange symptoms. Doctors missed the signs. On July 11, 1937, at just 38 years old, he passed away during surgery for a brain tumor. The world stood still. Broadway dimmed its lights. Radio stations played his melodies all day long. And millions mourned the man who gave America its most original sound. George Gershwin was more than a composer. He was the voice of a generation, a fusion of jazz, blues, and classical, just like the country he called home. Even today, his music lives on, in concert halls, on city streets, and in the hearts of dreamers everywhere. George once said, "True music must repeat the thought and inspirations of the people and the time." He gave us just that, and though he left us far too soon, his music plays on. And while the curtains fell on the brilliant yet brief life of George Gershwin, another American figure was writing her own story, not with music, but with flowers, highways, and hope. Let's move from the world of symphonies to the streets of America, where a first lady changed the nation's view, one wildflower at a time. This is the story of Lady Bird Johnson. In a world of political noise and public speeches, she chose to let wildflowers speak for her. She was born Claudia Alta Taylor in Karnak, Texas, on December 22, 1912. But no one really called her Claudia. As a baby, a nursemaid once said she was as pretty as a ladybird, and from that moment on, the nickname stuck. Lady Bird Johnson, First Lady of the United States from 1963 to 1969. Wife of President Lyndon B. Johnson. But more than that, she was a gentle force of change, the soul of nature, walking among marble halls. Her mother died when she was just 5. She grew up quiet, bookish, and deeply connected to the land. Texas fields, trees, open skies, these things became her peace. When Lyndon B. Johnson proposed, she said yes, not just to a man, but to a journey that would take her to the very heart of American power. She became First Lady unexpectedly after the tragic assassination of President Kennedy. It was a dark time for America, but Lady Bird stood with calm dignity, and in the middle of the political storm, she looked out the windows of Washington and saw trash, billboards, dead trees, and she said, "No, this is not who we are." She launched the Highway Beautification Act, planting trees, removing eyesores. She fought to protect America's scenic beauty, one flower, one road, one law at a time. And it wasn't just about flowers, it was about dignity. She believed beauty was a right, that clean green spaces lifted the spirit of a nation. While others gave speeches, she gave landscapes. But her life wasn't without sorrow. She watched her husband endure a brutal presidency. She lost close friends. And in her later years, her health declined. But her legacy only grew stronger. Lady Bird Johnson passed away on July 11, 2007, at the age of 94. And just like the flowers she planted, her memory returns every spring. Today, millions of Americans drive along scenic highways she helped create. They walk through wildflower fields she dreamed of. They breathe cleaner air because she once said, "We deserve better." She never ran for office. She never raised her voice. But Lady Bird Johnson changed America. With grace, with vision, and with a heart rooted deep in the soil of her country. Some stories fade with time, but some, like these, leave their mark forever. If you found these moments moving, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Timeline USA, where every date holds a deeper meaning. Tomorrow, another page from history awaits. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired. This is Timeline USA,